I like to say Barak Yahweh, Barak Yahweh Shah, Barak Yahweh, Barak Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Rakah Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of GMS. And salutations to you brothers out there that's doing this work in truth and sincerity. I'm going to go ahead and play this video. Then we're going to get straight into the scriptures.
Yes, I carried her for 38 weeks. Yes, she is a real baby. She's not a fake baby. She's only 6 months old, and I've heard that Cat Williams joke more times than you can count, and it's not funny. For those of you that still have more questions, they can usually be answered by genetics are crazy, they do all kinds of things, and also my husband is white. I think that covers the majority of the questions that I get in real life and on my lives. Yes, is my baby.
Con. Right, so you got this Eve. I don't really know if she's an Eve or not, but for argument's sake, you got this Eve or Judite woman. And, she gave birth to a so-called white baby, And, obviously her husband is a so-called white man. Now, again, we don't know if he's an Israelite and or an Edomite. But for argument's sake, he's a so-called white man. So the thing is that we have to remember that Jake when he lies with a woman, Jake can produce he can produce babies that looks different than him, in a sense of Jake, his woman could give birth to a so-called black baby, a so-called white baby, a so-called light-skinned baby. That all comes from Jake, man. But when we talking about the seed, when we're talking about our people as a nation, it ain't the woman. We don't need the woman to bring Israel within the world. We don't need the woman. And when I say we don't need the woman, I'm talking about Eve. We don't need another Judite, an Issacharite, a Gadite, Benjamite, Levite, Naphtali. We don't need within the 12 tribe chart. We don't need the woman to bring back Israel. We don't need the women of those tribes to bring back Israel. If Jake was to lay, it's like a Dragon Ball Z. In Dragon Ball Z, right? When Goku met Chi-Chi, which was not a woman that wasn't even a Saiyan, she still gave birth to a Saiyan that was able to do Super Saiyan, a Super Saiyan level up, Super Saiyan 2, because it goes off the seed of the father. If you watch the first X-Men movie, they'll tell you the children will only gain in power through the male. They gain their power by way of the male. So if an Israelite man lieth with a woman outside of his nation, she's still gonna give birth to an Israelite. If a woman that's an Israelite lays outside of her nation of men, and she lays outside of that with a heathen, she's going to give a birth to a heathen child. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if she give birth to a heathen child. That's her problem, right? The nation of Israel comes through men. And no matter what woman that Israelite man lay with, from an Edomite, Moabite, Ishmaelite, Hamite, or whatever, they're still going to give birth to the Israelite, right? And when you talking about complexion, right? When Jacob, who was it? When Isaac gave, when Isaac's wife gave birth to Jacob and Esau, Esau came out with a different complexion. though he's not an Israelite, he came out with a different complexion than what Jacob came out as. Jacob came out as dark as everybody else. That's why they didn't describe his complexion. But Esau came out different than the rest. So what we got to understand is that through Jacob, our people can bear children that have a different shade of color, man. A different shade of color. It's based off the seed. So with these Eves, right, with Eve laying around with the other nations, you better know this. If you're laying around with the other nations and your man is a heathen of another nation, and you give birth to that child, which is now a heathen, you have declared judgment on that child that is yours, because that's what's coming to the nations, is judgment and captivity. So when you lie with a heathen and give birth to a heathen child, judgment is coming for that heathen child. You might as well put a stamp on that child for judgment, because that's what's happening. But if an Eve lieth with an Israelite man and give birth to an Israelite child, and Lord willing, Lord willing, that child have the spirit to do the will of the Lord, to be delivered, then that's just what it is. Because you could still give birth to an Israelite child, and that child could be a demon, man. Grow up to be an evil being, and it will get judgment. But you have more of a chance of salvation, of that child getting salvation, than you would with a heathen, because a heathen isn't getting salvation. They're getting judgment, right? They're going to get judgment by way of the sword, death, and destruction. And they're going to get judgment by way of going into captivity. So when you get with someone of another nation, you're pretty much saying, look, I'm okay with the judgment that my child is going to get, if that child is of another nation, right? So Eve gave birth to a so-called white baby, right? And if that man she's with is an Edomite, then she gave birth to an Edomite child. You brought another Edomite child within the world. So even if Esau lieth with a Israelite woman, that's still a heathen. When you go into the book of Leviticus, that was an Israelite woman that gave birth to an Israelitish woman that gave birth to an Egyptian boy that was judged for blaspheming the name of the Lord. And he wasn't to receive the laws and statutes and commandments on top of that. So this is what you got to understand, man. This is what you got to understand. So what? Who gives a fuck, man? And so, excuse my language, but who cares, man? Who cares about Eve giving birth to children of other nations? Nobody. No, we don't care. We don't give a damn, man. Because salvation doesn't come. Salvation isn't coming to the nation. Salvation is coming to the children of Israel. Salvation is coming to the Lord's chosen people at the end of the day. Not someone that's not an Israelite. Not someone who doesn't go back to those roots. So let me grab this, because I know, Salakia, I know I did a lot of rambling and babbling. Let me grab this real quick. This is Psalms 106. Psalms 106. And I believe that's 36. Let's see. Salakia. What was it? Nah, this is yeah. Psalms 106 and 35. It says, I'll start at 33. Because they provoked his spirit, so that he spake unadvisedly with his lips, they did not destroy the nations, concerning whom Yahweh commanded them, but were mingled among the heathen, and learned their works. So our people were mingled among the heathen. When you go into that word mingle, it means to intermix. Intermix. Let's get it.
Strong's H 6148. Arav.
To pledge, exchange, mortgage, engage, occupy, undertake, forgive, give pledges, be or become surety, take on pledge, give in pledge, to take on pledge, go surety for, to give in pledge, to exchange, to a pledge, to exchange, pledge, to have friendship with, share, surety, metal, mingled, pledges, become, engage, enter, metal, mortgage, occupiers, a company, undertake. When you go into the strong, it says a primitive root to brand, i.e. intermix, technically to traffic as if by barter, also or give to be surety as of a kind of exchange, engage, enter, metal, with, mingle, self, mortgage, occupy, give pledges, be, come, put in, surety, undertake. So when you go into this word intermix, so ultimately what our people have done was they pledged themselves unto the other nations, right? It's like making a covenant with the other nations. The scripture says, for wicked men have made a covenant with the heathen, right? So it also goes into making pledges or doing exchanges with the heathen, but it also means to intermix. That's why you got a lot of so-called mixed children these days, man. Mixed sons and daughters, because our people have intermixed themselves with the other nations. That's why you could see a so-called dark-skinned person with long straight hair, or you will see a dark-skinned person with blue eyes, right? Or you could see a so-called black man who got some light skin, like some very light skin. That's actually I forget his name, but he's like a black politician, or somewhat like a black power type of guy, and he looks like a damn Edomite from afar. You see his ass. He looked like a so-called white man from afar, but he's actually a so-called black man. So this is taken from among our people, is that our people have intermixed themselves and have joined themselves with the heathen. You got Eve, man. I have seen many of mixed races. Hey, there's even intermix, or what they say, a biracial couple. There's a biracial couple that lives above me. Biracial couple, right? And you got that a lot lately, man. Eve being with the so-called white man. Now, Eve have a problem with Jake being with the so-called white woman, but that doesn't change the fact that when Jake lieth with the so-called white woman, she still gives birth to an Israelite. When Eve does it, she ain't giving birth to an Israelite. She giving birth to a heathen. She giving birth to an enemy. She giving birth to that which destroyeth the earth and start wars. That's what she gives birth to. Psalms 58th chapter, as soon as they be born, speaking lies. That's what she's giving birth to, as a liar, a deceiver. And again, if he's an Israelite, cool. But for argument's sake, that's just what it is. Right? So I'm going to say Barak the Yahweh, Barak the Yahweh Shah, Barak the Yahweh, Barak the Yahweh Shah, Bahashim, Rakah HaKodash, Double honors to the apostles and elders of GMS, and salutations to you brothers out there that's doing this work. In truth and sincerity, I like to say shalom.